which then takes us into areas of far greater intelligence, not difficult in most cases, I have to say, in fact, probably in all, greater intelligence in terms of technological ability, not necessarily wisdom, than humans. And so that takes us into, he thinks that aliens run the world. Oh my God. Did I say that ignorance is all pervading to the point where they call it intelligence? Did I mention that? I think I might have done. If I didn't, I should have done. Many, many times. So the story goes on. Australian scientists for the first time developed an electronic long-term memory cell that mimics the work of the human brain. Researchers say the discovery is a step towards creating a bionic brain. Well, this is a biological bionic brain, if you like. It's not us. We are consciousness experiencing this reality through this biological computer. It's that consciousnness that leaves the body at what we call death. And that's why when near-death experiencers have had their experience of dying, the body dying, that they don't. Their consciousness not only continues, it expands into a fantastic level of awareness not experienced within the body. Why? Because the body, the biological computer, operates and concentrates attention within a tiny range of frequencies, and thus that's all we can perceive while in the body. So when our consciousness leaves the body, suddenly these near-death experiences talk about this fantastic expansion of consciousness, awareness and perception. It's all dead simple, but only if you're prepared to look where the answers are and not go, that's ridiculous, that's ridiculous, that's nonsense, that can't be true. How do you know? What research have you done? Oh, zero, gotcha. The world is mad, completely bonkers. And the other is the network of Western orchestrated and engineered terrorist groups that are causing mayhem in the Middle East and Africa to create the circumstances for a Western takeover, cabal takeover. And those two themes come together in this organization that's, of course, all over the news because of what it's doing now in Iraq, a group called ISIS. And now that's a very significant name, which I'll get to later. ISIS is the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, because they want to take over that whole area. And the Islamic State in Iraq and Al-Sham is another version of ISIS. And Al-Sham is actually very appropriate, although perhaps Al-Scam would be much better, because a scam it is. It's another movie, a horror movie, yes, but it's another movie designed to orchestrate events that eventually will allow the subjugation and control of the whole of the Middle East and, in the end, the whole of Africa. Now, this ISIS was supposed to have kind of started about 2004, but it was in April 2013 that it took the present name and started heading towards what it's doing now. And it's said that it is an outgrowth, if you like, from Al-Qaeda. And the propaganda is that it's so extreme, ISIS, that it was too extreme for Al-Qaeda. Now, they are trying to, or have spent all these years, seeking to sell us the lie that this Al-Qaeda organization was behind 9/11. And if you can get more extreme than doing what happened on that day, they didn't, but the propaganda wants us to believe that, then how extreme must this ISIS be, according to this propaganda, that it's too extreme for Al-Qaeda? Load of bloody rubbish. And let's go back to a base position here, in fact, a database position. And that is that there is no Al-Qaeda in the way that it is portrayed by Western propaganda. the way that it is described in terms of its structure. This is Robin Cook, former British Foreign Secretary, very soon before he died, actually. And he said this: throughout the 1980s, Osama bin Laden was armed by the CIA and funded by the Saudis to wage jihad against the Russian occupation of Afghanistan. Al-Qaeda, literally the database, was originally, he said, the computer file of the thousands of mujahideen who were recruited and trained with help from the CIA to defeat the Russians. Inexplicably, Cook says, and with disastrous consequences, it never appears to have occurred to Washington that once Russia was out of the way, bin Laden's organization would turn its attention to the West. Well, it's not inexplicable. It's how the game works. The idea is to create these terror groups, or in many cases, create the belief in these terror groups and how they operate, to justify, under the problem, reaction, solution scenario, create the problem, get the reaction, do something, then offer the solution to the problems you have created. Under the problem, reaction, solution technique, to justify intervention into countries because of terrorism, and justifying more and more freedoms and basic civil rights being taken away in your own country on the excuse of protecting the population from terrorism. And on this Al-Qaeda situation, here's Jason Burke, author of Al-Qaeda Casting a Shadow of Terror. He's talking on a BBC program called The Power of Nightmares. And that is, in many ways, problem, reaction, solution. The power of nightmares. Get people to experience or think they're experiencing a nightmare or potential nightmare, and then save them from the nightmare which you have created. Anyway, Jason Burke says this about Al-Qaeda. The idea, which is critical to the FBI's prosecution, that bin Laden ran a coherent organization with operatives and cells all around the world of which you could be a member is a myth, he said. There is no Al-Qaeda organization. There is no international network with a leader, with cadres who will unquestioningly obey orders, with tentacles that stretch out to sleeper cells in America, in Africa, in Europe. That idea of a coherent, structured terrorist network with an organized capability simply does not exist. But what he was talking about there was Al-Qaeda at that time. This ISIS situation is different. This is a new stage. This would appear to be a very organized network, extremely organized, immensely well funded. I mean, I've seen figures of maybe $2 billion they have at their disposal, and extremely well armed with American weaponry for reasons I'll come to. And here's a big piece in the Daily Mail newspaper this week, Jihadi Terror Group PLC. And the reason they call it PLC is because they've produced accounts, like annual accounts of a company, detailing the finances, but also detailing all the murders they've done, the beheadings they've done, and all these horrors that they're carrying out. And it's just like a PLC has produced it. And this is a highly organized operation. And this is, like I say, a new stage. There's no doubt that the Wachowskis know a great deal about what's really happening in the world. And it is portrayed in these movies as fiction. But when I look at my research over the last 25 years, it mirrors much of what appears in their films. For instance, I talk and write at enormous length and detail about the illusory nature of reality, how this so-called physical world is not physical at all in terms of solidity. It's holographic, illusory solidity. And that is the basis of the Wachowski's Matrix series, that we're living in a fake reality that we're decoding to believe is real when it's not real at all, which is precisely the themes of my books over the years to present day, getting more detailed all the time.